Hello everyone. Hi Amy.
Hi.
So I'm here with Amy Woods, who is our lovely KindaProud rep for our KindaProud Pocket Books of Hope series. And so look forward to inviting Amy to tell you all about why she's our rep and why it's so important to her. But for those of you that don't know about our latest project, we're developing, as an extension of the Emerging Proud campaign, a series of 4 pocketbooks of hope, which contain personal stories of transformation for people who have been through some kind of emotional distress, crises, and transformed their life. We want to change this really pervasive negative message that's in society at the moment, that if you're struggling with a certain issue, that means there's something wrong with you and that you're never going to recover. And actually, so many thousands of people all around the world know that that's not true. And we also know that when you're in a dark place, what you really need is to hear stories of hope and to get validation that things will get better, that they're actually more likely to get better than you to stay struggling. So that's what we're looking to produce. We're in the process of producing 4 books at the moment, and I'm going to be introducing you to the reps of the other 3 too. But today it's Amy's turn, and I'm our KindaProud rep for emerging proud through disordered eating, body image, and low self-esteem. So thank you so much, Amy, for joining us and for being an amazing rep. And I just wondered if you would mind telling people why you're so passionate about this subject.
Thank you, Katie. Oh, thank you so much for, one, asking me to be the rep, and 2, for having me here today. It's really love to see you. I guess it comes from like a very personal place of having gone through all these things myself, and sometimes there's still a lot of stuff to be healed. But yeah, I just feel like when I was sort of in my darkest place, like I felt very much like you said, that there was something wrong with me, that I needed to be fixed, that I was sort of like alone in this, and just sort of coming out on the other side, realizing that there are so many other people that are going through it, and still live in that kind of like self-made prison of like, I am alone, I have to hide this, I can't talk about it because it'll just be a kind of like a, I don't know, just there's something wrong with me, that kind of mentality. And I was like, wow, this so needs to change. Like, one of the things that helped me heal myself was realizing that there's a whole bunch of people out there that are like, going through the same thing. So I guess I'm just really passionate about, one, kind of spreading the word that it's a thing that's kind of so, I don't know, maybe it is just so common, but also it's something that's so stigmatized that there's no kind of freedom to talk about it. So yeah, I'm just really passionate about helping people realize that, 1, they're not alone, and 2, there is kind of light at the end of the tunnel, and it's all kind of our body's way of dealing with a disordered world, basically. Because it is disordered, and it is kind of like gone a bit crazy in some ways. So it's just kind of finding that place of peace within ourselves, with each other, building community, building friendships, and building support networks. And yeah, just seeing that everything that happens with our bodies and through our eating, through our low self-esteem, it's all kind of like, it's like the kind of the ground for transformation, and it is ground for growing, and it is ground for learning, but it is also ground for like learning to love who you are and celebrate who you are. So I'm just really passionate about helping people get to that place of being comfortable in their own skin. Hope that makes sense.
Perfect sense. And you're doing amazing work with women around this now, which I'll ask you about. But I just wanted to come back to you said about a quote there, which I loved when you shared your own personal story on the blog, which I'll post below this so people can read it again if they don't know you, about it being a sane reaction to an insane society. I can't remember the exact quote, but that's so true. And it's like, it comes out in various different ways for different people, but whatever struggles we're going through, it's always a reaction to something, being wrong, and our bodies or psyche's way of trying to put us back on our kind of natural path. So, and that's what I love about you being a rep for this book and having gone through those dark times yourself, because it's like you speak to the fact that your body was trying to tell you that, or your emotions were trying to tell you that you weren't on purpose, and actually that's a gift. It's not the fact that there's something wrong with you. Your body's trying to tell you there's come on, you need to change things a bit. Look at you now, you're flying with a new business and just won a grant award to do your amazing work. So I don't know if you want to tell people a bit about what you do. And I took part in a pilot photo shoot of yours a couple of weeks ago, which was an awesome experience. It's a bit scary, but
oh my god, you did so well, Katie. It's just amazing to see you flourish in that way. And just going back to kind of what you were saying there at the end of it's our body's way of communicating. I think for me it was a massive thing of reconnecting with my soul, and reconnecting with the soul of life, and understanding that there's so much more at work, not just this teeny weeny bit of life of this physical world. There's just so much more to us, and this kind of understanding that my soul was desperately trying to communicate to me through my body, through my symptoms, and through my mind as well. So but thank you so much for coming to the photo shoot, and that's really what we want to do, is kind of have that space to have those conversations, talking about symbolically removing the clothes, symbolically removing the layers and all the kind of walls that we put out to people, and all the fronts that we put out to people, and kind of defining what is success. Are we, we're successful if we look a certain way, we're successful if we have this front. And it's just kind of really stripping back all those layers of being who are you? Who are you? Underneath all your job titles, underneath all all these other things that you have in your external world, who are you on the inside? And that's something that's it's obviously not an easy conversation just to bring up. So that's kind of why we wanted to, have the in way of a photo shoot to be able to do that. But I think that the conversations that we had, and the processes that people went through on that day was just magic. To be a part of that and to see people turn up really shy and not knowing and what's going to happen, and then by the end of it being oh, that was really cool and liberating, and in so many ways it's just creating those spaces for those conversations to be had. I think are essential, whether it's online or in person or both. That's kind of what we want to do. And with the grant funding, we're going to be doing this thing called Empowered Health, which is all about bringing all the aspects, physical, spiritual, mental well-being tools and techniques. We're going to be bringing in different practitioners to practice being embodied and be agreeing to be in this amazing body that we've been given, and to really start to make peace with that, as well as discover things about our spiritual practice, or through moving our body, through dancing, having fun, being playful, letting go of all those job titles, all those kind of to-do lists for a few hours, and kind of really exploring who are you underneath all those things. It's going to be so much fun.
It was an amazing, really powerful experience, and comes back to what you were saying about how this is all about building community and connection, supporting each other. And that was really the outcome of the day. It was looking at each other and kind of saying, well, I see you below your facades, and I see you as someone amazing, and we not see that in ourselves. And looking at each other's limiting beliefs on our own bodies or whatever, and thinking, sort of encouraging each other and seeing it reflecting back a different perspective was just really, I love the concept. It's a really, really powerful idea, and kind of the same thing that we're doing through sharing the stories and creating spaces through these books. And the idea of publishing these books is to eventually hopefully get them out to all mental health charities and hospital wards around the UK and maybe around the world, to give people that injection of hope, sense of not being isolated when they're in those dark times, and people that can't kind of reach out and join groups in the community when they're really in the midst of it. It is kind of the aim of these kind of Proud book series. So we're all doing the same thing, and it's beautiful to work in collaboration, and I'm so grateful to you, Amy, for doing what you're doing. I'll share the link to your business stuff below this as well, but if people would like to take part in your book project and maybe share their story, could you just let people know what that entails and how they go about doing that?
Of course. Sorry, my telephone's just ringing. Yeah, so I think the best way to kind of get in touch with me, if you wanted any support or any kind of, if you have any questions or more information about the project, I think the best way is to email me, which is info@soul-shine.org.uk. But yeah, I'll put it in there. Also, like, our Facebook page is really active as well, so either private message on there or private message me on my personal one. I think they're probably the best ways to get in touch. And yeah, and I'll send you some more logistical stuff, but also if you need any kind of like emotional support or just you know, just the chat, that's also absolutely, yeah, I'm happy to do that. What else did you ask me, Katie? Was that it? Did you ask me that?
Just what does it entail if somebody would like to share those?
Right, what does it entail? So it entails, I think, you know, it does mean that you're going to be sharing, I guess, a journey that, you know, our relationship with our body and our food is one of the most intimate relationships that we have. And I think that it entails a lot of courage to be able to share that. And what we've spoken about, Katie, is kind of like sharing as much as you're comfortable with, and also just, yeah, sharing as much as you're comfortable with, because it is going to be in the public eye, and just know that, yeah, it's kind of, you're contributing to bringing so many people hope, to, you know, going through their dark times with whatever it is that's going on for them. And I think it's just, you know, personal stories are just so powerful. I think that also sharing your stories is going to create some kind of healing. You know, for me personally, it created healing, and it continues to, and it also creates, you know, challenging those limiting beliefs that we have, like, oh, my story's maybe not worthy of being told, like, who am I to kind of, you know, share that kind of stuff. But it's just, actually, everybody's story is worthy of hearing, and everybody's story is worthy of telling. And I think it's just so important to connect with each other through those stories that we have.
That's a perfect, yeah, really, really important point, I think, Amy. And it is scary the first time you kind of go public with your story and, you know, strip off those facades. It's like, who am I underneath this? You know, Brené Brown talks about the strength in vulnerability and ridding of shame, and it's just so pervasive, isn't it, in society? And it's tough when you first do that. So make sure you're in a place. I think if you're going to share your story, you need to know that it's going to be public. So make sure you've got some support, and also that you're in a healed enough place to be able to do that. If there are any repercussions, which, to be honest, we've pretty much found that everybody who shares a story gets very positive feedback for doing that, for being vulnerable. But there is a possibility that you could get contacted by the media, or, you know, there might be some outcomes. So it's also being prepared for that if that happens. But absolutely, like you said, Amy, it's about creating this positive domino effect. You know, that's how I see it. The more of us that speak out about our vulnerabilities, then the more people are likely to be able to decrease the stigma and shame, and do the same, and build each other up. So
definitely. I will just mention as well, what we spoke about is there's also the option of like posting anonymously. So if you want to share your story but you're not quite ready to kind of have your face and your name everywhere with it, then that's also okay. We're inviting people to kind of share artwork and poetry, any quotes or anything like that that will that have helped you, or that have helped on your journey, or you think that might bring hope to other people as well.
Yeah, perfect. Wonderful. Thank you, Amy. We look forward to receiving your stories and working with you to give hope to the world for people struggling. Thank you so much for the bravery, Amy.
Thank you, Katie.
So good to have you on board.
It's an absolute honour to be on board.
Bye. Bye.